Hi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs Bout Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy evening to join me. I really do appreciate it. I can assure you that the next 12 minutes or so are going to be an absolute doozy. For all intents and purposes, I got to start the program by saying, that obviously here on the channel, I am not only very anti-violence, but I'm also just a good old socialist, in character, just talking about things that may or may not be difficult to be talked about, and dare I say that there are two areas of, stuff to talk about that we always often refrain from talking about. Now, these areas of discussion are, religion and politics. And even though the title of tonight's video isn't religion and politics, I can absolutely just guarantee you that both of these ideologies impact you more than you could possibly begin to imagine. And, moreover, a lot of us don't want to imagine them, in and of itself, because we're just trying to live our lives, and I can't blame you for that. That's why you need guys like me to try and, dedicate whatever life they may or may not have to trying to find solutions for some of these bigger problems. There are solutions, in fact, and tonight I kind of want to go over the problems that we're going to be talking about, and then obviously offer some solutions, okay? So thanks for watching. My name's Albert. If you're not already a subscriber, make sure you smash that subscribe button, you feel me? Because, again, we're going to be talking about religion and politics tonight, so, forewarning. Alright, so here's the thing. What do we do about, religious fascist, right? I mean, that's the title of tonight's video, in fact. Like, what to do with a religious fascist. We talked about religion and politics, right? And so, a religious fascist is, or a conservative fascist, we'll call it, like, in, that kind of a way. So we're not using the words, like, we're using them interchangeably and not in the same way, But, anyways, what's a guy to do? What's the world to do about a conservative fascist? Right? Again, mind-blowing, I know. Two things we don't want to talk about. Religion and politics all wrapped up into one, right? Last time I checked, admittedly, I'm a terrible Catholic. I know where I'm going. But dare I say that, the book I've not read called the Bible, again, forgive me. This is a character, I am joking, has nothing to say about, fascism, I think that's a secular word, but I could be wrong because I haven't read the book, and there goes the end of that terrible joke. But regardless, I guess I'd put my money on that fascism isn't in the Bible, It's not intertwined with religion, just as it is in itself, but it is a big part of what a lot of hateful people use to spread their gospel interpretation so that it suits their very psychopathic needs, okay? So it's just, what's society to do with a conservative fascist? Again, because on one end of the aisle, you're supposed to be all about the word of God, and on the other end of the aisle, fascism is embedded in hate. Okay, there's nothing positive, there's nothing fun, there's nothing fancy, there's nothing good about a fascist, about fascism. Okay, so, I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, you can have a hateful opinion, that's fine, just so long as it doesn't, create a situation in which is unsafe. Ergo, you can't say dangerous words, in a movie theater or an airplane. This is just common sense. To all of you hateful people, yes, I'm sure that more often than not, you may be sitting next to a fascist. And you might be sitting next to, a conservative who does not represent, their fundamental values in the best way that they can. because of whatever, the environment they were brought up in. I mean, the idea that they are kind of secretly hateful, but they, on the surface, appear to be loving and caring because of, the thing they do on Sundays. Again, I don't want to be too complex, and I don't want to be too, sounding like I'm bashing on either of these things. At some point, I gotta fall within one of those definitions, right? And again, terrible Catholic, raise my right hand. I believe in God, I think it's fair to say, right? But at the same time, just because I believe in these things does not mean that I use this idea of this deity to perpetuate hate, and or moreover, nor do I perpetuate this ideology to anybody that, I'm not here to solicit. Sorry. Again, terrible Catholic. I may be super blasphemous, and I understand that, and these jokes are hard to, swallow. But again, I'm in character, so let's keep it going, alright? Because it's a pretty sensitive topic right now, alright? As we all know, there may or may not be a lot of talk in today's news or in recent news about a certain person who, unfortunately, is no longer with us. So, dare I give a solution, right? Because we posed the question, what is a guy, and or, I guess, moreover, what society to do about a conservative fascist? The solution is opportunity. If you haven't met me, I'm a socialist. I don't believe in the death penalty. And, some of you think that I may have my ideology, conflicted or misrepresented. But I can assure you, my friends, that it's not. It's never been more focused. It's never been more clear. I am basically 100% a socialist, right? And again, as a conservative socialist, oh, Jesus, I say that, I don't believe in the death penalty. What does that mean? I don't believe in it. It means that, unfortunately, I don't believe in the idea that unaliving another person is in any way symbolic of this kind of ultimate consequence that one can have befallen upon them as a result of their, terrible behavior. And keep in mind that terrible behavior is not limited and or does not include anything but just the worst things in the absolute world that you can think of. And here I am saying that those very monsters deserve to be alive. Well, I guess if you want to interpret it like that, sure, but it means that I just don't want the idea of legalized, sanctioned, policy driven areas of society that are contingent upon other human beings and their interpretation of a very unequal and unequitable society that really reflects and demonstrates a lot of lost opportunity. So, again, what to do about a fascist, a conservative fascist in particular? We give them an opportunity. And my friends, when we give people an opportunity, that does not include unaliving someone. It does not include, spewing hate on an equal kind of a level. It doesn't include any of these very, again, psychopathic driven things. It's not normal. It's not healthy. People are frustrated. On this program, we've talked about other guys like Mangione, again, and it's not to be condoned in any kind of a way. It's not all right. You can't take an eye for an eye. I'm sorry, my religious folks out there. It's just, it leaves the world blind, right? I think that's another part of some kind of a probably secular saying. Religion and politics. Conservative fascists. 10 minutes of time, no script. Here I am just trying to sell you the idea that even monsters, like the person that we now not have in our presence, to spew that very hateful rhetoric that was super inconvenient, but did not deserve or elicit a violent response that led up to an untimely unaliving for a guy that, by every means of the First Amendment and being an American and just being a person with human rights, did have that opportunity to be that kind of a person. And although it's unfortunate, And although it's something that a lot of us just find real inconvenient and not good, it's just not good. Fascism is not good. Look at the United States government, right? I mean, it can happen faster than we would like to admit. Hate is a real quick thing that can spread really quickly, and it can do a lot of damage. And not only does it do this damage, but it does damage that you may not think that it does in the present, but that will be, something that you ultimately have to deal with in the future, whether you want to or not. And so all that I'm saying is that everyone deserves an opportunity. Yes, an opportunity to live, an opportunity to thrive, an opportunity free from a government that, does crazy things to you, like sends guys in Levi 505 jeans and baseball caps and face masks, dressing up like it's cosplay to take innocent people away from their lives, right? I mean, because that's pretty inconvenient, isn't it, American? Isn't it? You at home sitting there, as a part of this country, as a constituent, as a member, as a community member, whether you want to believe it or not, we're all on the same team. And what that means is that we can have different opinions. We can even have hateful opinions. That's just an inconvenient truth in allowing an idea that free will and a freedom of expression is going to be something that is regulated and just, coped with in a way that is healthy, at least more healthy than trying to take another person's life away simply because you don't like what they're saying. Again, cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. I mean, people get their kicks on different kinds of things. I get that, but this is not something that any of those things can be talked about and or discerned from getting, as a result of. So an opportunity, it needs to be equal for everyone, because otherwise, this happens. If we had more opportunities for people, and again, not just limited to defending hateful rhetoric, hateful kinds of speech that is borderline unconstitutional, super inconvenient, but at the end of the day, constitutional. And, right or wrong, not warranting the kind of consequence that, recently befell upon this young man as a result of his conservative fascist views. You feel me? Again, not a fan. But ultimately, I'm more not a fan of people being lost as a result of some cause that, I think we're all a little confused about. Honestly, a lot of division has occurred in this country. And as a result of that division, a lot of lost opportunity has been the result. It's been the only thing that's come from the last 40 years or so of dismantling what at some surface was a really successful democratic republic experiment here in the 20th century, at least. Ask the boomers and ask the silent generation, those people that, dealt with a whole slew of other societal problems, absolutely, but, had pretty decent lives. I mean, at the expense, again, of a lot of other people. But now that we've evolved from these kinds of things, we don't forget about these kinds of things that have happened in the past, absolutely not, but don't let it get to you where you're out doing something that is not only unethical and illegal, but just just stop. Stop it. You feel me? It doesn't help at all. Luis Mangione didn't help. I mean, did he help you guys? Are your co-pays any even lower? Did the insurance companies cut us any favors as a result of all the public backlash? And I don't think so. I mean, they may have done the complete opposite, actually. Let's compare some numbers here. Does anybody have receipts? Okay, so that's all that I'm saying, guys. I want to get out of character here, but it's really important. It's super important, all right? I think tonight it's really hard to kind of get your head around too, but I hope you understand that everyone deserves an opportunity. And the more that we seek to take opportunities away, the more backlash we are going to have from certain alienated parts of a population that are frustrated because they have no opportunity. Okay? So that's all. Those very ideals and that solution transcends both religion and politics. Right? I think that it does. I know that it does. I hope that you think that it does. I hope that you know that it does. And now I'm done talking. Okay, well, at least in character. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you watching my show. Sometimes I know it's stuff that's hard to hear and it's stuff that's hard to talk about, but it's important that we talk about these things and in the way that I can present them to you. You know, I spend a lot of my time watching other people's content and, you know, trying to keep my own sort of focus on how I present my material. And I just am having a good time doing it. But just understand, obviously, again, that I understand these are difficult things to talk about. And, you know, in no way am I trying to, like, perpetuate, you know, a narrative of hate or trying to, like, get anyone all riled up, you know. And, in fact, it's the complete opposite. You know, I'm really looking for some tangible solutions here to some large societal problems that often just get solutions thrown at them that have nothing to do with the real root cause of why that was a problem to begin with. And that's all that I'm saying, right? Is that, like, you know, like, people even like that guy that passed away recently, he didn't deserve to be unalived. You feel me? Like, that's just, it's silly stuff. The CEO of United Healthcare didn't deserve to be unalived. I mean, no one deserves to have violence, you know, in a world where violence is not needed. Like, that's just, you know, that's baby talk. Like, that's just, it's silly stuff, guys. It really is. At the end of the day, you know, we all have way more in common than we have in, you know, things that we have in, like, that we don't have in common. And we really should just, like, bite the bullet on some of these things and just peacefully coexist. I mean, Jesus Christ, you know, you know, what happens when we don't? I mean, this happens, and I don't want to be, like, in a world where it's unsafe, you know, to give your opinion and to, even if, again, it is conservative fascist blabble, you know, babble, like, whatever it is, you feel me, just so long as it doesn't cross, again, those legal boundaries that we have set. You know, it shouldn't be a motive for any of you out there, for any of us to think to ourselves that we're doing anyone a favor by taking them out. Literally, you know, that's a terrible judgment call. Religiously speaking, spiritually speaking, you know, secular speaking, you know, just human rights speaking. I'm just saying, right? Like, because I'm saying that we all want to live. And that's kind of weird because the world is not a good place right now, but yet we continue to choose to be here and present and continue to, you know, do our dailies and so forth. And I think those things are important to remember because that means we have something to fight for. You know, human beings have something. We stand for something. God damn it. We do. And it's fair and equal opportunity for everyone, you know, not just a certain select group of people. I mean, the more you take things away from people, the more they are going to react in a negative way. I mean, again, philosophically, whether or not we're going to debate it, whether or not it's good, you feel me? That's not the point. People need to eat every day. People need to sleep every day, you know, and that's it. You feel me? Like, so far as I know, I mean, and a lot of people out there have very unfortunate circumstances, and in addition to the things that we all have to do on the daily, have to do a whole slew of other things that you and I just would absolutely go insane, you know, if we had to do, because we would then see how unequal this goddamn country is, and moreover this world, right? But a lot of us, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to see it, you know. We're good where we're at, and that's all right, you know. If ignorance is bliss for you, and you're a peaceful person, and you're not perpetuating violent narratives, and you're not harming other people physically, then, you know, I mean, I don't like it, but, you know, do you. I guess I'm done with tonight's video. I hope that you guys have a really good night. My life has been good. I have been super busy at work. We'll save this last minute to talk about me, because obviously this show, it's about me. It's all about me. This is, you know, I'm joking. Anyways, we had to work. Shout out to my boy. He stayed at our crib for a few days. And, you know, believe it or not, we were working like 14-hour days. And, you know, it was just, I was actually kind of tired, admittedly. I was kind of tired here at the end of the week, my friends that watch these videos that I work with, you know. It was a tough week, but I'm sure you all know that because you were there. Anyways, I hope that you guys have an awesome weekend. Please be safe. Do not drink and drive. And have, you know, positive conversations in your life about things that matter. It's all fun and games, and it's all nice to talk about Super Mario, but let's talk about that elephant in the room, and let's get it out of here, you feel me? Because, like, otherwise it's just going to become more of a problem than it already is, if that can be imagined. I hope that you guys have a really good night. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. My name's Albert. This is Vlogs About Nothing. I'll talk to you guys later, alright? Bye.